Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's David.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're the Wet Rats. If you're not familiar with us, we are a YouTube channel, and we do things on the YouTube channel.
For YouTube.
For YouTube. And one of the things we're doing today, actually the only thing you're listening to that we're doing today, is we're doing our talk of about Evangelion 2.0, 2.22, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The second of the rebuild movies, You Cannot Advance. If you haven't followed our Evangelion stuff before, we've been doing rewatch stuff of all the Evangelion show, movies, all that shit for a while now. We did the entire series, all the episodes, and we did End of Evangelion, of course. We skipped Death and Rebirth because fuck that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a while ago we did our discussion of the first rebuild movie, You Are Not Alone. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. So now that's out of the way. I assume anybody listening to this has probably listened to our stuff before. But just in case, now you're caught up, now you know the score. Also, in terms of the score, we spoil shit. If you haven't, basically, if you haven't seen the show and you just watch the rebuild movies, we'll probably talk about things from the show and to compare contrast. And I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit about 3.0.
I would assume.
Obviously, we want to save most of our discussion for when we actually watch that and talk about it. But, you know, since this is before that, it kind of leads into it. So there's things we'll talk about. So just so that's out of the way, don't fucking be mad if we spoil stuff. Anyways, Dylan.
David.
What do you think about this movie?
I mean, it's just as good as the other 20 times I watched this movie.
Have you seen this one a lot?
Yeah, I watched this. I've watched the rebuilds quite a bit.
I haven't watched them a ton, but I've watched this one a decent amount. I've watched this one more than the first one.
I think
of the
that's
rebuilds.
fair to say, yeah.
And to be honest, I've watched probably the last 20 minutes of this one
Yes,
more than the entire movie.
This one, every time I watch, I forget how much they pack into one movie. So I'm just like, oh, here it is. No, wait. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, they do all that stuff.
Yeah. Evangelion's always been a weird show because no matter how many times you watch it, when you rewatch it, there's stuff right in front of your face that you're like, how did I not remember that?
I picked up on so many. I think maybe because I was trying to actually look for things. Watching this, I guess, there's so many things.
But even just, not even small things like that too, but like there was a few big scenes where I was like, I forgot this was even in this movie.
No, that's what I'm saying that as well. It's like, wow, that just like blew, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of that, some people like to marathon our discussions of Evangelion. We'll just get this out of the way. We're going to sound dumb probably a lot. First of all, I forgot to say, we always say this, but we're not experts. We're not, Evangelion, like, whatever the term would be, scholars or whatever.
Yeah.
We're what's the word I'm looking for? It's not scholars.
We don't,
we're not
PhDs in Evangelion.
Yeah, we're not experts. We're just people that like the show and want to talk about it, and we were going to talk about it anyway, so now you can listen to us talk about it on YouTube, if you didn't know. Also, I guess you might be listening on iTunes, but whatever.
We listen on iTunes too?
Yeah, we do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They've always been on iTunes. You never knew that?
No, I just didn't pay attention. He said it probably.
Yeah, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, but it's easier for us to track
Number one
YouTubers.
Evangelion rewatch podcast on iTunes.
On iTunes. Probably in the world, to be honest. Because when I looked it up, there was only one other people that had tried to do this, and I think they made it like 3 episodes in and gave up. So we're almost done with 2 more movies, and we're fucking done. But anyways, like I was saying, we're not experts, so, if our opinions sound dumb,
aficionados.
It's because
they
are.
Looking for?
No, but that's a good one.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is, some people like to marathon our stuff, so you may have just listened to our discussion of like 1.0 or 1.11. So that we recorded that like 2.5 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't remember what we talked about.
I don't either. It actually feels longer than 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. Because I almost said like 3 or 4, but it's like, well, we haven't even lived here for 3 or 4. We definitely.
I always forget that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Time goes by fast. But what I mean is like, we're probably going to mention things, and some people might be like, you guys just talked about this on your last one.
Sure.
But that was 3 months ago for us.
Well,
I don't know.
For me, I use the same notepad, so.
I did too, but I'm not gonna reread every single note and make sure.
I just have 1 page. So that's good.
Okay. But anyways, all that aside, let's talk more about.
I have way too many Pinpin notes I've noticed in all my notes I take. Pinpin's always there.
Yeah, I wrote a lot about Pinpin. So let's just go ahead and go through the movie.
Yep.
Scene by scene, we're gonna break it down. This movie opens up differently. The first rebuild movie, as you all know, is basically the first 6 episodes of the show.
Yeah.
It's basically that. There's a few little extra things in there, but you're pretty much just straight up getting that.
Yep.
This movie recreates the next 12 episodes, 7 through 19, but it changes a lot. There are certain scenes that are very iconic that are back, but even those scenes are different. But anyways, the movie opens up with Mari, who is a brand new character to the Rebuild movies. And I, obviously you know that, but we're just stating it, just for what's the other word I'm looking for?
Prosperity?
No.
Continuity?
No.
I wasn't paying attention to the first half, so I'm just
I don't know. This is our worst podcast yet. So Mari is getting ready to battle an angel, which has been being studied. Where is this taking place? I couldn't catch that.
It was the fifth one, right?
Yeah.
I thought, was the fifth one Russia or is it America's? Because he talked about they were involved together.
I don't think this one's America.
So is it
It
Russia's
could be.
then?
I don't know. Somewhere that's not Japan, there is an angel that has been being studied, but now has broken free. It seems like it was maybe an accident, but it seems like there's maybe a little bit more to that than meets the eye. And Mari, this new character, is sprung into action with Evangelion 5, Unit 5?
Yes.
Wait, okay, this is the third angel, the fifth Evangelion.
Fifth Evangelion, yeah.
And
it has
so presumably this scene either took place a while ago, or they've had the third angel on ice for quite a while.
Yeah.
Because obviously Third Angel was a long time ago in terms of the first movie. So I don't know if the scene is actually meant to take place before the first movie, or if they've just had the angel on lock for this long.
Well, okay, right.
What's interesting is they have the angel in this other location. In the original show, the angels always attacked Tokyo 3.
Yeah, which
always.
I think is crazy because they always sometimes mention like America's fight. This one they mentioned way more because they mentioned America in this one. Then they also mentioned a whole thing like Euro, and then they have Russia.
Yeah.
So you kind of like you have like at least Japan, Russia, Euro, and America.
It's just weird to have the idea of an angel somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically in the original series, and the same with this movie, the angel that corrupts Unit 4?
Yeah.
Is it Unit 4 or 5? I think it's 5 in the show, and I think it's 4 in this.
It's 4 in this one, yeah.
Or no, it's 3 in this, because 4 blows up.
Because 4 blows up.
4 blows up. People know which one I mean, whichever one it is. But the angel actually corrupts it before it gets to Tokyo 3. So I guess that one was somewhere else. But for the most part, they always attack Tokyo 3, so it's interesting they captured one somewhere else. Don't know what that angel is doing. Anyways, she beats it. We also are introduced to Kaji in the terms of this movie, who has a new voice actor. Who I like. I think the voice acting is really good. Oh, we should say we watched the dub. I know some people don't like the dub. I understand their complaints with the show. I think the dub rebuilds is fucking
really
amazing.
good.
I'm sure we said that when we watched the first one, but I'll talk about that a little bit more later because I wrote it in my notes. But like, there are certain performances in this that like I think are so underrated just because people like to not like the dub.
Sure, and it's not like your typical TV show anime dub thing where there's doing things. This is like a really well done.
The original show did have some of that typical, like, oh god,
exactly.
This is that kind of. This is like that anime American voice acting, but I think they got rid of that for these movies.
Yeah.
These movies are done very well. I think Funimation did an amazing job with these, except whatever they fucked up on 3.0 that has caused it to not be released yet.
Yeah, don't know what that is. I've actually seen it dubbed and it was fine.
Yeah, I've never seen it dubbed. I really want to see it dubbed.
I'm part of that 1%.
Yep. Fuck you, 1% people. So after that sequence, we open up on Shinji and Gendo visiting Yui's grave, a scene from the series, of course. Is it in an animated show? Is it still called cinematography, or do you only have that in live action?
No, you still call it cinematography.
Cinematography. Okay, I just want to say the cinematography in this movie is fucking outstanding.
Yeah,
the shots are so goddamn well designed. Everything looks amazing. Like, there's not really a shot in this movie that looks subpar. Everything looks like it's designed so well and so carefully constructed. Obviously, as we've talked about before, if you've listened to our stuff, and you probably just know this already, Anno was very inspired by Stanley Kubrick, who wasn't. But I think it really shows in the rebuilds because, like, the show had its limitations, a lot of budget issues.
Right.
There was a lot of reused animation, a lot of reused shots. These movies kind of feel like what he always envisioned Evangelion to be.
Yes.
And man, the shots in these movies are so
That's
incredible.
what I was noticing. This is one of those things where I was saying there's things I didn't notice because I was paying attention to other things. Like, you get a really good feel for what Anno wanted things to do. Now he has, like, the budget. Like, just even, like, that one scene where Misato is having lunch and Kaji's there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Nerve is actually kind of like a regular, almost office building where people just kind of work.
Yeah.
Like, it has like kind of cafeteria. You just get like this.
Yeah.
It just almost humanizes everything.
This movie
way
feels
more.
less claustrophobic.
Yeah.
It's less like, here's a shitty lab room. Here's
Right.
a shitty hallway. It
You have people walking
more
on the
organic.
streets and moving. And you feel like the impact of these things fucking up this town.
Exactly.
You're actually seeing the life in the town now.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, just jumping ahead a little bit, I was going to say, like, there are a lot of shots of the city set to kind of this upbeat music. You're really seeing like the life of the world.
Yeah.
The buildings coming up and down. You kind of get a feel of the day-to-day routine of the people that live there. Mm-hmm. And I really love that about the rebuilds. That's something we could never get in the show because of budget. But I really love that stuff. And it's interesting having seen 3.0 now because 3 basically, this movie basically builds up a lot of positive, uplifting things. All these shots of all these people happy. The characters doing so much better, and 3 is basically the complete antithesis of that. It is just, hey, remember all those shots of happy people walking around the city? They're dead. Yeah. They're all fucking dead, and here's what the city looks like now. It's just like, remember all the stuff you liked? Well, it's fucking dead.
Yeah, this one's so great because it's like a race in the beginning. I mean, everything's just, or not even like a race. I don't know, like an escalation. Everything's just going up, 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 up.
Yeah.
Just for it to like dive straight down and go even down farther.
Yeah.
Once you hit the 3.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see tonally what 4 is like.
Yeah.
Because this is, this starts to go down towards the ending, but even so, there is positivity in the ending in some ways. We'll talk about that later. But overall, I would, on a large scale, I would say this is a mostly positive movie. Yeah. In terms of like its feel and its tone. 3 is the exact opposite of that. So I'm really curious, like, will 4 just be more of 3, or I don't know. We'll speculate about 4 probably more when we talk about 3.
3, sure.
Or maybe we'll even do a special before 4 comes out to give our final guesses. I would like to do that, like our final theories on what's going to happen in 4. See if we're right. But anyways, so we see Asuka arrive. Her name is different.
Yes.
It is no longer Soryu. It is Shikanami.
Yep.
I don't think anyone really knows why. I haven't really read any theories on that.
The only thing I know about that is both of her last names are Japanese wartime, what do you call them? Marinal or what? Warships, basically. Named after warships.
Interesting.
So, like, it still changes the same, even though they changed the last name, they're still both were warships in the Japan fleet.
Interesting. I will say, again, like, the cinematography, the action is so directed well. Asuka's opening is really well done.
Well, I'd almost even say, even don't know the last name, Asuka's character is still a little bit different in this than she is in the series.
Well, but, I mean, all the characters feel a little different.
Sure. Like, she just definitely feels more like assertive, but not like a little girl. She definitely seems like actually like a much more mature. She didn't have that weird crush on Kaji or anything like that. She just kind of
I mean, her and Kaji aren't even connected remotely in this, which is interesting. Yeah, she definitely seems to kind of be more on her own. Like, she definitely is more bitchy when she first shows up. Like, she knocks Shinji down on the ground and stuff. But we see that it's more. It doesn't seem so driven by like shitty childish emotions anymore.
Yes.
It seems more driven out of a more adult need to feel a sense of purpose.
Right.
Which that was there in the show as well, but it feels less childish.
It just feels like, I mean, even in this one, she's a captain, which she wasn't a captain in the other one.
Yeah.
Like, she's a captain in this one. So they have her definitely kind of almost like a childhood, like a child who grows up too quickly kind of thing, rather than being like a child who's thrown into a situation but still kind of a brat. Like, because that's kind of what Shinji is, so it made her and Shinji do something. This one kind of makes him a little bit different.
Yes, definitely. Then we see Kaji, what he was doing on that base was securing what is known as the key of Nebuchadnezzar. I don't know. Nebuchadnezzar.
I know it. Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. I knew I wouldn't spell it right, but I was curious what would happen if I tried to spell it. I put Nebukunzer. So let me know if that one's right.
I didn't even try. I think I just said Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah. I know that that's not right, but I thought it'd be funny if I tried to spell it without any reference to how it's spelled. But anyways, that's some weird thing. Yeah. Because obviously in the show that was Adam. Yes. The embryonic Adam that he brought to Gendo. So this is very different, and it asks a lot of questions of like what would this be used for? Because we know Adam merged with Lilith. That was the whole purpose of Gendo's instrumentality in the original, was merging them together. So I don't know what the key of Nebuchadnezzar would do.
No. I know unless it is something, but I don't think the reference really matters.
Yeah. Most of the biblical stuff doesn't really seem to matter, but let us know what you guys think about that. It has like a sort of human shape on the end of the key. Like it's almost like a skeletal, transparent. I don't know. It's fucking weird stuff. I don't know what it would be for. I mean, most keys open doors, and they do say like there's like the door of guff or whatever.
Sure.
So maybe it's tied into that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, we haven't seen it come to play yet.
No, we haven't. And here's the thing, and we'll talk about more about this when we get to 3. I don't think people I think are going to go into 4 waiting for all the answers. I think if you go into 4 waiting for what's the key of Nebuchadnezzar, what happened in the years between 2 and 3, I legitimately don't think we're ever going to see those things.
No.
I think maybe we'll have in 4 a couple like insinuations honestly, to what happened.
And not to jump too kind of far ahead, I feel like you can fairly safely bridge the gaps between 2 and 3. I feel like I don't need those.
Yeah, I agree. Because it kind of shows that I really would love to see and love to know.
Because you show you those previews, which I'm assuming some of that stuff probably actually kind of happened. Yeah. But then you have the aftermath, so I feel like your mind can fill in the gaps.
Sure, I'm not somebody who needs to have everything answered. There's definitely things that I don't understand and don't know how they got from point A to point B.
Sure,
but I know enough to be content with it.
Yeah.
If in 4 we get some flashbacks, I would be more than down for that. But I'm totally okay with the fact that I don't think we're going to.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to know what the key of Nebuchadnezzar was. No. I think every question that we have from these movies will not be answered in 4. I think 4 will ask new questions instead of answering any of the old ones.
I agree.
So it's a matter of is the audience going to be okay with that? Which I don't think they will be.
Because there might be like, I don't know how to say it. There might be more, not reveals. Might peel back maybe some more layers for you to kind of get some more,
not pointing in the right direction.
Pointing in the right direction, like kind of fill, in yourselves, like, hey, if you think about it, this is what this is.
Yeah.
There's absolutely probably going to be no direct questions answered.
I don't think there will.
That's just not the style.
That's not how these movies go. On a more lighthearted note, we see a nice little scene where Misato's drinking, and guess who else gets fucked up?
Hell yeah,
Pin and Misato getting fucking drunk together. Shinji and Asuka too young to drink, so she gets fucked up with the penguin.
Which seems kind of fucked up. I mean, it's the whole situation of you can send guys to war, but you can't let them drink beer or whatever, but you can have these 2 kids pilot these aliens the rest of your life, but they can't drink alcohol.
Right.
Not that they would. I feel like they both wouldn't. Especially Shinji. That doesn't seem very...
I think Asuka might.
Asuka might, but I feel like Shinji would.
Yeah. I think Asuka would have a few drinks here and there. What a weird conversation.
Let us know your
what your headcanon is.
What's your headcanon for drinking alcohol in this?
So we see Asuka now has a doll. And this is, I think, one of the most interesting things about Asuka's character in this movie.
Yes.
Because obviously, in the original series, she despised dolls because her mother went crazy.
It's also called pedophobia.
Pedophilia?
Pedophobia.
Pedophilia?
No, pedophobia.
Her mother went crazy and had a doll that she would refer to as Asuka, and basically started ignoring her real daughter, thinking that the doll was now her daughter. And when she killed herself, she, I believe, took the doll with her
yeah.
and left her daughter alone. So it raises a lot of questions of, did the same thing happen, but Asuka now has a weird draw towards the doll, or did a very different thing happen?
Yes. And
she has the doll. And I don't know which...
It's almost as if the doll... Because almost she treats the doll as if... Almost like her mom, where the doll's a replacement for somebody.
Exactly. But the doll says Asuka. Asuka's written on the doll. So it's really interesting. I don't think we're ever going to know, but I would be really curious to see what y'all think about that one.
Yeah.
Let us know what your headcanon is. Then again, we already talked about this. We get to see the city like come alive, and I like all the shots a lot. We cut to the moon. Apparently, Gendo and
we forgot the part where Dad doesn't answer the phone.
Oh yeah, she tries to make some late night calls to his dad.
I never remember how to spell Gendo, so I just put Dad on everything.
But we see Gendo and Futsuki go to the moon, which is interesting. We never saw anyone go to space in Evangelion. I guess they have space travel.
They can do it.
They can do it.
They build robots.
Sure. But they go to the moon. There's a moon base there already established, apparently operated by Sele. And we see that there's a big blood streak on the moon. They see Karu out in space, and they're like, that can't be right. Which is a really, understated reaction. If I saw, a naked boy on the moon, I wouldn't be like, that can't be right. I'd be like, hey, are you fucking seeing that? Because there's a fucking naked boy on the moon.
Yeah.
That's not fucking right.
But, I mean, I feel like if you're in Gendo and you know all this shit, you know some crazy shit.
Well, sure. I mean, Gendo's not the one who reacts. It's Fuyutsuki.
Sure.
Like, Fuyutsuki is just like, huh, what's that about? It's like, that's not what you, like,
Yeah.
There's a fucking person outside without a space.
I also like how they're like, it almost seems like they're sneaking up on the base to look at it.
Yeah.
How do you go to space in this, like, so secretly? That doesn't really happen.
Yeah. But anyways, Karu sees Gendo and calls him father. Yes. Very interesting.
Yes.
I don't really have any theories on that.
No, I think it's like easily one of the most interesting and like as far as theories can go.
Yes.
One of the most crucial points for that.
Yeah.
Because what that's opened so many fucking questions.
Yes. But honestly, like Karu.
Because not only mentioned. Well, I guess we don't see it in this one. This is in the other one where you see all the boxes on.
Yeah, that's the
one.
first.
You see all the boxes, then he pops out of there.
Yeah.
He's like, here we go again. And then you see
it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But I think most of the Karu talk will probably happen in 3.
Yep.
Since that's the movie he's more in. He's pretty light in this one. We in the original series there was a field trip to an aquarium that all the kids got to go on, but Shinji, Rei, and Asuka did not go. In this, we see them go on it. Mm-hmm. This is really interesting, I think. Again, we said earlier like this movie's more positive until maybe some of the end, but it's interesting how idealistic this movie is. It's very like all the things that. In the original series, all the things that people wanted are kind of here. Like, you always wanted Asuka to not be so cold-hearted. You wanted her to, like, be a little more warm. She is. You always wanted Rei to have a little bit more of a personality. She does. You always wanted Gendo to have the scene where he comes back and, has a good scene with Shinji. Mm-hmm. They almost do. You always wanted to have these kids, like, go to the aquarium. They go. They have fun as friends.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how Anno does that. And I think... it's worth thinking about, because Anno is very in tune with the culture of people that watch his movies. And he kind of likes to toy with those people. He's always been a guy who's really against, like, the, like, otaku of, like, all that shit. And this movie almost feeds into it, which is interesting, because, like, this movie, it kind of gives you what you want.
Yeah.
It gives that culture what they want out of Evangelion. Right. And what's so interesting is the next one takes all of that away. Yeah. So it's funny how he planned that.
It's kind of, I think a lot of people kind of categorize it as the first one's the recap. This is of like the series that was. Mm-hmm. This is the series everybody wanted, and then the third one's the series that Anno wanted, the one he wanted.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting how 4 kind of merges all that together into whatever 4 is going to be, which might just be like a train ride in Shinji's head. Who fucking knows what that's going to be? But
it's going to be Godzilla. It's just
I don't know. It's just interesting to compare this one to 3. We can talk about that more, I guess, when we actually talk about 3. But it's just I think it's really weird to see these movies kind of now that they're both out, see them parallel to each other because they're so different.
Right.
And I can think of very few film franchises or anime franchises or whatever franchises at all that have movies that are so complete polar opposites of each other.
Yeah,
that's extremely rare.
Yes, it's very cool. My big question is though, what was Pin doing at the aquarium?
He was becoming the Penguin King.
Why did they bring Pin?
Because he needed to be the.
This
Penguin
movie
King.
really wanted to give Pin. Like, you're talking about giving people what they wanted. Yeah. This movie really wanted to give Pin as much face time as possible.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think Anno is like that's a small thing, but I think Anno planned for that. This movie has a lot of like more lighthearted, like comedic beats to it. You have like characters like saying like more funny dialogue.
Sure.
You have like Pin getting drunk and him like seeing all the other penguins. This movie is meant to be like a very anime movie.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense to everybody out there, I think people know what we mean when we say that.
Like the standard formula.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean this movie's bad. I think this movie fucking is amazing. But it is interesting that he gave us that, but
with almost this whole intention of taking it away.
Yeah. But it's weird because I don't know anybody else who's done that. Like, they don't really like... Because, I mean, maybe Anno does like this stuff. But Anno, again, he doesn't really like this kind of... Or doesn't seem to like this kind of culture of people that want this stuff out of his movies.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me that he made a whole movie giving all those people exactly what they want. Even if it was to take it away in the next one. But he still made this entire one, which is basically a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me. Anyways, what else we got? I got a lot of notes. Let's get through them. Let's do speed round. We see They have a lunchtime. Shinji gives Rei some soup. This is where we start to see Rei's turn into a more likable, warm-hearted character. We see Earth from space, and it looks fucked up.
You see the huge crater from Second Impact.
Yeah, and we also see some interesting flashes of Second Impact, which I think are really well done. Because it's not just like the typical flashback. It's kind of these, not really hand-drawn, but it's almost meant to look that way.
Right.
These like sketches of like flashes of memory of it. I think that's a really cool sequence. We also see 4 ghostly figures.
Yep.
Which are, I guess, kind of Rey-esque or Lilith-esque.
Sure.
But it's very interesting to think about what those might be. What else? I can't read some of my notes here, which is always a problem. I was just going to say, so we get the scene where the angel's dropping, like the bomb angel.
Right.
This is a scene that really made me remember, like, the animation in these movies is, like, unfucking believable.
By the way, sorry to cut you off real quick.
Go ahead.
Those figures are called the Atoms, according to...
The Atoms. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, yeah, there is something about, like, multiple atoms, right? Yeah. They say that in 3. It's been a while, guys. Sorry. But anyways, I think the animation in this one is so good. Like, I really noticed it when they're all like, running after the angel.
Yes.
And, like, they're like...
It's like total track and field stuff, too.
Yeah. But, like, they're all, like, building up the buildings for Shinji. Yeah. But, like, it looks so good. Again, like, this feels like Evangelion like it was meant to look.
You're going to see, like, in the series, the Avas were kind of limited. You didn't really see the Avas do a whole lot. Mm-hmm. They're kind of pretty stagnant. Yeah. Here you're getting to see, like, Avas be Avas, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even... I've even seen gift sets on the internet of people putting the original scene from the show where they're all running after this angel compared to this one, and it's like... It's night and day in terms of difference. It's so much better. And the blend of, like, 3D CGI with the animation style is, like, really well done.
Yes.
There were very few shots where it was like, oh, that seems like they added that in CGI. Like, it meshes really well. Because even in 1, which did a good job with it, there was a couple shots where it was like, okay, that looks a little bit like it doesn't match. But I think this one did a much better job with that. Small thing, but when Shinji catches the angel, like a little angel comes out of the big angel.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I kind of really didn't pay attention to that detail.
Yeah, that's not in the original, but it's cool. But it like pierces his hands, giving him the like the stigmata kind of thing. Which again, I don't think is significant. It's just one of those religious symbolism, iconography things that Anno likes to put in there. When the angel explodes, it's like an ocean of blood, which looks fucking awesome. Yep. Gendo calls Shinji and encourages him, giving him positive praise, which prompts Shinji to realize that's kind of why he's doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Same as the show, just reiterating. We're just going through. I'm just going through the movie real quick. Asuka climbs into bed with Shinji. That's where they have that conversation. This is interesting because this fight kind of is a big shift for Asuka because when she did the last angel fight, she fucking kicked its ass on her own. Yeah. And this one, she realizes like she's in that cockpit.
She's like, "Oh, I'm helpless," all that kind of thing.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Rei grabbing the thing, she wouldn't have been able to do it, and they would have all died, presumably. And so, in her kind of desperation, she climbs into bed with Shinji, which is kind of a theme the original series had too. Of like that was kind of Misato's thing too. Is like that was her kind of her attraction to Kaji, kind of in like this. In like they don't really know what to do, so they kind of like get into a relationship, which isn't necessarily good for them.
Right.
But it's out of desperation of like, I don't know what else to do, which is something a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Not even just women, but like I know a lot of guys that have like they're not really doing anything with their lives, so they just get in a relationship just to get in a relationship, and it's like, I don't know, you could probably do something else. But this is we see Rei start to cook. This is where she really starts to have her shift. She has a scene with Gendo where they eat dinner, and he sees her as Yui for a quick second, which prompts him to accept the invitation to go and have the dinner with Shinji and all of them, which is interesting. I've always legitimately wanted to see that scene. Like the scene where they all sit down and have dinner.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
this is where it kind of starts not giving you like little bits.
Yeah, it's starting to fade away.
It's like letting you know, it's like, hey guys, now we're going to start putting the brakes on some things.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just, we've been with these characters for so long after the entire series. It would have been kind of cool to have like to see them in these new ways, which we already are. Like we're seeing, all the characters differently. Mm-hmm. But it just would have been an interesting scene to see. But again, Evangelion's not really meant to give you what you want.
Yep.
Then we find out about the Vatican Treaty, which I don't know if they mentioned that in the first one or not. They probably did. I don't remember. But it states that every country can only have 3 active Evangelions at a time. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they put Evangelion Unit 2 on lock because they are getting the new one.
Yep.
Flying to
Unit
them.
3.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Unit 3 is flying in on the cross.
Yep. We see Shinji is chilling on the roof of his school, which is cool, I guess. Mari drops down, gets her boob is all in his face.
Yep.
This is one of those like anime kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, like the hot girl with the big boobs.
Yep.
Gets
Shinji's on the roof
boobs in
by
the
himself for
face.
some reason, despite the fact that he has several friends in school.
Yeah, and this girl, like, she's on a covert operation. She didn't mean to land on a school, but she's dressed as a schoolgirl anyway.
I kind of noticed in this one, or at least this is just me. This is just my observation. Mari's kind of like a female Kaji. She's kind of like always flirting with everybody. Yeah. She's kind of like you never know where, like, what side she's really on.
Right.
You never really definitively tell you. You're just like, okay, like, you know.
That's true, but I still feel like with Kaji in the series, maybe not so much in this movie. I guess maybe I'm just using my pre-established knowledge of him because this movie doesn't give us a lot for Kaji. But in the series, I felt like we always saw that there was more going on, and like Mari, there seems to be a little bit more going on. Like we see, like, oh, there's something. She's playing at something.
Yeah.
But with Kaji, it was always like you kind of knew what he was going for. He was going for like the truth, and you kind of saw that shine through all of his bullshit. And I never felt like we've gotten a reason to really care about Mari's bullshit.
I feel like it has to be something, because I feel like each time we see something about Mari, it's one more thing to it.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we do have something to it, it might be like in 4.
Sure. Yeah, maybe 4 would like give her a reason to, when we could rewatch and be like, whoa, she was a great character.
Because this one is just like, not saying she's a great character. I don't hate her. But it's just like, she keeps talking to people, you don't know who she's talking to because the other organization's gone. She somehow got into Unit 2. They know who got her into Unit 2 because... what's her face was just like, oh, so they didn't want to talk to us. That's how they're going to play this. Yeah. She obviously knows how units work because she can get through the backdoor code to access the bestial mode. And then the other one, like, I don't know. You see in 3, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you kind of...
Sure, yeah. But again, I just feel like with Kaji, he was doing all this crazy shit.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it's like an exact replica of Kaji. About him.
Right,
I can just kind of see personality-wise.
Yeah, but I just wish they would have given us a scene in here where it's like, okay, I don't understand what Mari's doing, but I want to know and I care about her character. I just feel like we haven't gotten that scene yet where it's like... Oh, okay. I do care about what happens to her. Right. I feel like I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, because I feel like there has to be something, because I just can't think of why else they threw in there.
Yeah, definitely. What else? So we see Shinji's S-DAT switch over to track 27. This is one of those things that feeds into the time loop theory. In the original show, and so far in the rebuilds, it would only go to track 26 and then restart onto track 25. But this time it goes on to track 27, which Shinji says like, oh, that's weird, or something like that. Yeah. So that's interesting, a little thing to note. It must mean something because I don't think Anno puts stuff in his movies just for fucking
reason, no reason,
shits and giggles. We see a scene between Kaji and Shinji, pretty much the same scene we saw in the original show where they talk about like, have we found what gives you pleasure? Do you hate pain? All that shit. But important character scene, but nothing really new to talk about. We find out the prototype of the new engine exploded in sorry, I got a message on my phone. I was reading it. In America, which was Unit 4, the engine somehow self-destructed. Maybe it was an accident, but clearly somebody tampered with it. It's interesting. Yeah. I assume it's Seele because just guessing, but it seems like Seele would be the one who would want that to happen so that Unit 3 would be shipped to Japan. Yeah. So they could alter that scenario.
Because it's almost even like they keep talking about the Vatican Treaty. It's almost like they let you know what pre-hand they had that established and knows when to budge on it. Because it's like Seele almost even knows they're trying to use that to their advantage. Because it's going to allow them to control the pawns of who's controlling what.
Yeah, exactly. We see one thing that's interesting is we see a scene where Gendo is talking to Seele again, but then like they hang up the call or whatever. Yeah. And we see Shinji in like this giant green screen room. It's just cool because like. We always saw, I think I said Shinji, but I meant Gendo. We always saw Gendo like talking to Seele, and it was just like this weird dark room, and it's kind of interesting to see like, oh, it was this fucking room.
Yeah, that's another of those great detail things. It's just like, okay, here's how everything works.
Yeah, that's really it's a small thing, but it's cool. We get the famous elevator scene between Asuka and Rei, a little different this time. Yeah. It's a different place for the characters than it was in the show in terms of where they are. But, similar, somewhat conversation. Asuka calls Rei a doll, and Rei responds that she's not.
See, this one I got a different tone from this one, too. Yeah. Before, it's almost calling a doll like she just said everything. This one's almost as if Asuka's onto something, kind of knows something, and almost calling a doll like, how do you not realize what you are? Right. Almost like letting on, come on.
But when Asuka goes to slap Rei, this time Rei catches the slap, and Asuka sees that they both have bandages and are both clearly pretty into Shinji. Which Asuka, instead of, like, in the show, when Asuka storms out of the helicopter, she goes into a big rant about how she hates Rey and everybody. And this one, she simply asks her, like, what do you think about Shinji? And then storms off because she realizes that she's now competing with Rey.
Yeah.
But clearly, seems like Shinji's more into Rey, which Asuka is very jealous of. We see Toji's sister get out of the hospital. Was a scene we never saw in the show. Mm-hmm. We'll go more into Toji's sister in the next one. But just a little thing to note. So Asuka becomes the test pilot of Unit 3. We see, of course, that it gets corrupted. Obvious to everybody watching, but this was Toji in the show, and now it's Asuka. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because in the show, Toji basically said, like, I'll pilot this thing if my sister can get out. But in this show, his sister just gets out. She's fine.
It's like it's Anno trying to mislead you the entire time, because even before then, you have still hints of being like, hey, my sister's getting in the hospital, and you see Toji kind of like, it's almost giving that hint like it's coming up, and then it totally flips the script on you. Yeah,
which is one of the reasons I like this one more than the first Rebuild movie. Not that I don't like the first Rebuild movie,
sure.
But again, it was just kind of par for the course. You knew everything was going to happen, you knew it all, you'd seen it all, it looked visually better, it was kind of all the same stuff. What I like about this one is it toys with the things you did know, and gives them to you in new different ways that you didn't expect, which is something, a lot of remakes don't do well, but these do well, which I guess they're not technically remakes,
sure.
But, I mean, they basically are.
Yeah. I do like the plunge scene for Asuka in this one.
Yes,
really cool.
It's really good.
Just being in the suits, or what do you call them?
The entry plugs?
Entry plugs. Just being in the entry plugs just look way cooler than before, too.
Yes.
But I just really like, it just had that creepy thing. And I kind of noticed it before, but whenever I saw the things pop out from behind her, I always thought this kind of like, they're kind of like wings over it. Watching it this time, I just was like, those aren't like wings. It's almost like arms pushing her down, like, and almost like she's getting, like,
interesting.
You see like the blue at the very end. It's almost like she's getting like dunked underwater.
I didn't notice
drowning.
that. Interesting.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
But we do establish, and this was in the original series, but it was never said very well. But we establish the fact that when a pilot basically descends too much into their entry plug, basically synchronizes too much with their Eva, they start to lose their physical form. Which, again, that was in the original show, but it was never explained that well in the show.
Right.
Because, I mean, it happens to Shinji. Like, he fuses so well with Unit 1 that he literally loses his body more than once. But it just never really... I never quite understood how that worked. But in this one, they visually show you, like, when the interplug goes beneath its depth, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that seems to happen to Asuka there. Then we get... Other than that surprise, if it's Asuka now instead of Toji... The scene pretty much plays out the same. Mm-hmm. Now it's got a new score, a new song that plays over it, which is really great. The music in this movie is fucking amazing, and I really like. The original had some stuff like in End of Evangelion. It has Kamsus or Todd or whatever, how you pronounce it, that plays over Third Impact, which is great. This one has similar. Picks of music to play over like the really fucked up scenes, which is great. I think again that's a Stanley Kubrick inspiration.
Yeah.
But Anno does that really well. But the scene of like that like really kind of like mellow song playing while he like fucking destroys.
Almost like cheerful, almost like a complete juxtaposition.
It's really interesting. And like seeing the horrified expressions of Nerve staff while it happens is really cool. Then we see Shinji's rampage. This is when I really noticed in this movie. I've noticed it before, but especially this time, like the voice acting is so much better. A lot of the voice acting are the same. Some of them are new, but Spike Spencer in the original show was always kind of like, for a lot of the original show, he was kind of whatever, and then I think it got better towards the end. But in this movie, I think he really kills it. The scene where he's like yelling at his dad while he's standing on top of the pyramid, like I really felt that. Like I felt like compelled. I felt emotionally like torn up by his how good that.
This
voice
one he
acting
definitely
was.
seems like less of a whiny, angsty kid.
Yeah.
He seems
like it doesn't seem like a child's rampage.
The first one he kind of does still as a recap, but this not the voice acting, but like the tone they have the character.
Sure, yeah, but I felt like in the original series when he's on the pyramid like stomping it was like okay he's being a little whiny, and this one it was like no, he has a legit reason to be mad. He sounds like an adult being mad, and I felt like it was really well done. I was really impressed with his voice acting in this one. I know it was a lot of people don't like it in the original series, and I see that, but I think in this one he really like kind of realized. I think when he did the original series, it was kind of like he didn't realize how significant it would be. Right. And I think now he's got a better grasp on that, and also I think Funimation just directs better than whoever did the dubs for the original. I'm sure it was just some like person who didn't know what they showed they were doing.
Yeah.
They're like, I guess do this.
Yep. Just read these lines.
Yeah, exactly. And Funimation clearly knows the significance of Evangelion, so I think they were better ready to direct the actors. What else? We see another subway car like dream sequence in Shinji's head where he talks to Rei and also sees like the child version of himself. Asuka gets quarantined. She's still alive, but she goes into quarantine, and that's it for Asuka in this movie. Which is interesting because she's
on like one interesting cliffhanger being like she's too precious of a what do they call it?
Commodity? Is that what they say?
I think it's commodity.
No, it's something else.
Something like
asset. A precious asset.
Specimen.
That's it.
Yeah, specimen. Which is kind of like it doesn't really sound like anything now, but once you go to 3, it makes it much more interesting.
But it's just interesting because she was totally involved in that fight against the last angel of this movie. I can't remember the angel. I don't know any of their fucking names, but the stretchy arms one.
Yeah, stretchy arms.
Stretch arms. She was involved in that fight, of course, in the original, and now she's just not. Although Unit 2 still is. Speaking of that, we see Mari hijack Unit 2, which is interesting because I know that they're being attacked by this angel at this point. But how did Mari get that angel out of there? This is supposed to be locked up so tight that the treaty is okay with it. But Mari just waltzes in and is like, alright, I'm taking this fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a plot hole, because I'm sure, like, if we saw the scene, there would be some great explanation for it. But it's a little bit of like, I don't know if I totally buy, no matter how clever she is, that she was just able to walk in like fucking nothing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think she did just walk into it. That's the part where it almost insinuates there's another group of people working for her. Because she even says, no, they're going to destroy HQ, as if like it's her HQ.
Yeah, that's something
HQ.
I was wondering too, is like, who did send Mari? Is it Seele? Yeah. Are they trying to send her to take control of the situation? Because Gendo seems to have taken too much control. Yeah. Like he wants, Shinji and Asuka here or whatever. Like, or I guess he didn't want Asuka. Seele sent Asuka. But are they trying to send all the shit to be like, fuck Rei and Shinji, we're sending these new people to take over.
Right, because they have, is it Karu?
Karu, yeah.
Karu's like one of their other like people.
Yeah.
So maybe they do have another pilot.
Presumably.
Yeah. Sure. Because on there. So maybe they have like another pilot, like that was supposed to be another one of the pilots they did, except she kind of follows to the T a little bit more, like one of their actual agents.
Right, that could be. Or, I mean, it could be Mari's just out on her own thing. She might not be working for anybody. It's possible. Sure.
I mean, I think she definitely has her own motives, but I do think she keeps using different organizations.
Sure.
She's definitely still talking about somebody. She's still using them as
that's true. That's true. We see her activate Beast Mode, which is really cool. Obviously, we didn't see anything like this in the show. We saw Berserk, but this is a little different.
Yeah. It's, what do they call it? The Bestial form. The Bestialite. Okay. Bestialite.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets that going, and it's cool. It's a cool sequence.
Yep.
Then we see Rei jumps into battle. Same thing as in the original show. She tries to drive the mine into the angel. It doesn't work. However, in this one, she straight up gets fucking eaten by the angel. And it kind of absorbs her and sort of takes her form, which is very interesting.
Not as much as like in the original series, but like definitely kind of like almost like a hybrid mix.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. We see Shinji get back into the Eva, and he sort of has an awakening. We see like his eyes like glow red. And again, this is I think where his voice acting just... Spike Spencer's voice acting is so good. But it goes into Berserk mode, it regrows its arm, it gets a halo, and I believe this is called the Awakened version of Unit 1. Yeah. But it's basically God mode. Misato kind of encourages it, like saying like, hey, this is what you want. But it seems like she soon regrets that when she realizes like, oh shit, this is like the end of the world.
Although she still even then just says, do something for you.
Right. Well, but even after that, like when the wings actually appear, she's like... Oh no, I've seen these wings before. But I love the sequence. There's another sequence with like great music that comes over it. That's just very like uplifting music.
Yeah.
Set to the end of the fucking world.
Yep.
It's really well done. It's almost like the Pixies playing at the end of Fight Club kind of thing. Like, it's not quite the same music style, but it's a similar kind of sequence.
I love this sequence of events, and we'll go into more probably a little bit later, in comparison to 3. Because some of these sequences let you just have so much more significance once you see 3. Like in the context of 3.
Yeah, definitely. But just visually, I love the sequence of him like going in, like pulling Rei out, and like his skin tearing away, and like again, it's all about how like they're losing their physical forms at this point because they're so deep in the plug. Or Shinji is, I guess Rei's already been absorbed by the angel. But it's just visually such an amazing looking thing, and like this just shows like we never got anything like this in the original series. No. End of Evangelion had some stuff like that. But this is like unbelievable in terms of look. And I should say, I'm not saying that like the rebuilds are better than the original series. I don't know.
Sure.
I haven't seen all the rebuilds yet. I would want to see the complete picture before I could pass judgment on that. But
it's a story still unfolding, so it's like you can't
exactly. Yeah, I mean the fourth one, hopefully not, but it could suck. I mean, I hope it doesn't. But I mean, you can't really deny that visually they're not better.
Yeah,
they're so much visually better. Which I mean isn't necessarily a fair comparison. The original show didn't have a big budget. You know, the significance of it wasn't realized at the time.
It was really well done with the budget it had.
Yeah, exactly. It don't like not. I mean, it had a bigger budget than this, but it almost feels like an indie movie. Right. And now like this is the Hollywood blockbuster sequel.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Ritsuko says like this new ultimate life form is being born, and when that happens, it'll kill all life before it. Then the movie ends on the line, "This is the end of the world," and we hear that like Third Impact is beginning. Which I remember when I saw this for the first time, it was just like, this is the second out of 4 movies, and Third Impact, which was the end of Evangelion, already happened?
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, obviously we've seen 3 now, but at the time it was just like, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. It's just going to, movie 3 was just going to be just everybody clapping for 2 hours and saying congratulations.
Congratulations. Yep. You've won. But anyways, if you stick around after the credits, we see
not the art credits like the movie credits.
Yes, we don't have credits for this. But anyways, Kaoru comes in and throws what? It's not actually the lance; it's the spear of Cassius, right?
Yeah, spear Cassius,
and interrupts Third Impact by throwing it, piercing Unit 1. And then he says the line, "I'll show you. This time, I'll show you true happiness." Which is a line that's been talked about a lot in terms of the time loop theory, because it's like, what does he mean, like, this time? Like, it's really very interesting, intriguing line.
Yeah. Like, it almost seems like his sole purpose of the characters in the first 2 is to make you think there's a time loop theory.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
To just continue
other than that, there's only a couple small things. Like, again, the track 27, the blood on the moon. Other than Karu's lines, there's not a lot of evidence for the time loop theory.
No, those are, like, the best case evidence you can get.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I also feel like I don't think you're too crazy if you say Karu's the failed Shinji of the last thing. Like, I almost think you're not too... When some people say that. I'm not saying, like, it's for sure a thing.
Sure.
But when somebody says, like, I see where you're coming from. I can kind of see where you're saying that. I mean, he calls him father. There's a bunch of different things. When you look at it, especially in the newer animation, like in this one, it almost looks like he's almost stylized to look like Shinji in a way, too.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk definitely more about the relationship between Kaoru and Shinji in the next one, because that basically is the entire next movie.
Yeah.
The entire next movie is basically like a really wonko recreation of episode 25 of the show. Or not 25, 24, sorry. But anyways, then we see a sequence that is really interesting now that we've seen 3.0. It's the teaser for the next movie, which is in this movie referred to as Q.
Was it not when it actually got released?
I think that might have been like a subtitle for it, but
That's what
it was released as 3, you could not redo.
Yeah.
But anyways, we see a lot of things. Misato narrates it, or the voice actress narrates it, and says all these things we're going to see that we don't see any of in 3. And as you and me have talked about before on this series, our series of podcasts, this seems like all the stuff that still does happen between 2 and 3, but now we just don't see it. And it sounds like, it's been a while since I read up on the development, it sounds like all the stuff was going to be 3, but they scrapped it. And from what I'm guessing, again, this is all speculation from what I guess we both have guessed, it seems like they just decided to skip all that, assume that all that is inferred from this teaser, and just move on to what happens afterwards.
I'm not saying Anno doesn't have a grand plan, but there's a pretty big time gap between he does things. It's not crazy that he has different inspirations or different ideas and decides to go something else. So now he has to kind of come up with a way of like, how can I tie what I've done together, but go maybe do something, a different idea.
Well, we even saw that in the original series, because before they started making the show, they sat down and made a series Bible for what was going to happen and basically wrote the series. But at the same time, it's well known that Anno went through like a massive wave of depression halfway through the show.
Yes.
Which is why the second part of the show focuses way more on the characters' internal struggles and less on the actual events of the end of the world. So it's definitely not unreasonable to think that a similar thing happened here. I don't think he went through the same wave of depression, but in terms of like a different thing hit him as an inspiration. He said like, you know what? I had this thing, but I want to alter it.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's still things that he always had planned on. I just think that he chose...
It totally just changes everything.
Yeah, I think he chose a different way he wanted to do
Which makes it so hard
things.
to try and predict what 4 could possibly be.
Yeah.
Because it just depends on what Anno's doing. I mean, maybe Anno did Godzilla and left Godzilla, and now it's Godzilla.
Maybe. I mean, it's interesting to think about what the timeline might be for this next Evangelion movie. Because it was a while between 2 and 3. And we don't have a release date for 4 at all. We haven't really seen any new teasers.
They said for their production, though, didn't I thought we got at least something. Though.
Maybe we did. Let us know if y'all know that. Fuck, what was I going to say? But now he's working on Godzilla, and I mean, they have said kind of when that's coming out, right?
Yeah.
So, and I assume that's going to come out before 4.
And,
so
I mean, animation stuff kind of works differently, where you kind of have things done, set out, and do there. And I don't know if Anno does the actual animation, so he probably just has teams of people.
No, I'm sure he doesn't do the animation, but
and
it seems like he's very heavily involved with like the directing of it.
And I'm sure he has a good enough people now to where if he's doing something else, he can be like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing here. But he'll still go in on like the big meetings, and be like, this is what we have to do. Or I like this, I don't like this. Scrap this, do this.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still possible. He is still working on it.
Yeah, but we still don't know exactly what is coming out.
You're right.
But we have been getting these weird short films, which I don't really think are going to be connected.
No, I feel like the first one we got was the closest.
Yeah.
I
almost feel like this is going to be a really weird comparison. I almost feel like these are like, if you like combined these, this is like the Animatrix.
Yes.
Where it's like these kind of, like sort of tie in, but these really aren't going to be part of what the series is about. They're just these different animations from different people that are inspired by Evangelion and maybe were involved with Anno, but kind of took their own spin on it. Yeah. Honestly, now that I say that, it is the Animatrix. That's exactly what the Animatrix was. It was different artists who were inspired by the Matrix coming together to make anime-style things about the series.
That's what kind of thought when I thought this. Like, I feel like we can't put too much stock in some of the shorts we...
Right.
I mean, maybe some of that is... But for the most part, it just seems like it's just something someone wanted to do, almost like a tribute to Evangelion.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, anything else to say about 2.0, 2.22, whatever the fuck you want to call it?
I mean, I think other than just like talking about comparison stuff between, there's just like I was saying in the end scene, there's great things like the tape player. They focus on the tape player a lot, which plays a really big part in 3 because that becomes like Shinji's one connection to Rei. Like the last thing he saw with Rei.
Well, not even just Rei, but kind of his old life.
Sure,
kind of the way things were.
But like the last thing he saw Rei with was that thing. So it's almost like his one confirmation of what he happened to experience really did happen. He really did see Rei. He really did get the conceptually back because he threw it away. But it's his only one, like, tying himself to reality. Like, no, this really did happen. I'm not making this bullshit
But
up.
Here's the... And I don't know. Maybe this isn't the best time to say this. Maybe we should wait till 3.0. But we don't even necessarily know if that is Shinji.
No, that absolutely. But, I mean, sure, that's something to get into then.
Yeah.
But at least he has the memories of it enough to where he knows the significance of that tape player. And I also, like, going a little bit... We'll definitely go more into 3, like, I'll just glaze over now. Is how much Shinji, if that is Shinji, gets really fucked in this.
Yeah.
Like, people were... He didn't want to pilot anymore. He basically had to come back, try and save people's life. People were cheering him on, like basically being like, yeah, Shinji, you can do this, you have to do this. Even, like, Masato, who was just like, a few scenes earlier was like, you know what, I don't think I care about humanity either.
Yeah.
And then now comes back and's pissed at Shinji for fucking over humanity, despite the fact that she kind of basically was wanting him to do it, and even said herself, you know what, I don't think I care about humanity either, fuck it. Shinji gets really fucked.
Yeah, 3 is a very, very dark movie.
Yeah, this scene just literally lets you know, like, hey, if you want to know how, like, fuck Shinji gets in that movie and how dark it is, like, watch this. And I was like, Shinji did everything everybody wanted to.
Yeah.
Despite him not wanting to do it. And then everybody's just like, fuck you, man.
Well, and it just sucks, too, because, like, Shinji even says, like, he doesn't care if this is the last thing he does. He doesn't care if this is the end of the world. He just wants to get Rei back. At that moment, that's the only thing he cares about. And he succeeds. He gets her back.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't work out. And, like, the one thing that he wanted to do didn't work, and it literally fucked everybody else over. Yep. And so not only did he lose everything, but he lost everything for everybody else. It's just a big bummer.
It's a really big bummer.
It's just a big bummer.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't think about this when we were talking about Mario. I forgot to. I like the interesting... This is just like... kind of. I like the interesting point in the beginning where they call her... Like, everybody's like the first child, second child. She's just the problem child. It's almost kind of like a wink of like, like, hey, she's on the cello, but they're not going to give her a number. Just call it like the problem child.
Yeah. That's a song by AC/DC, I believe. So
yeah, probably.
It's probably inspired your character. Listen, restart this podcast and just loop that song.
Yeah.
and just you'll get a much better experience out of it. Really do that. Anything else to say about this?
No, I think I covered that.
I think that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're going to talk about 3 sometime. It's supposed to come out.
We'll probably talk about it the day after it came out, or maybe the day. We'll see.
Around then.
We'll see around.
Sure.
So when on release, expect to hear us, which is great because you're probably going to be watching. If you get it, if you're a fan.
I mean, you can't. I think anybody listening to this is surely buying 3.
Yeah, you're buying 3, so it'll be great. You can watch that and then listen to us talk about it. And
yeah, or you can just not buy it and not even watch it, but just listen to us talk about it and try to figure out what happened.
Yeah,
just based on that.
And then go buy it and see if
we were right.
If you're like, oh, I totally got that. They did a good job describing it.
Yeah. In fact, we're not even going to talk about it. We're just going to recreate it. We'll redo all the voice acting.
Yeah.
We'll describe the action. We'll use our own sound effects. We'll make our own sound effects. It's going to be like a radio play, but they don't have radios anymore.
Well, it's perfect because it's mainly about 2 guys, and we're just 2 guys, so
sure,
it's going to work out perfect.
Yeah, it'll be great. So look forward to that coming soon.
Evangelion, the radio show.
Exactly. It'll be on iTunes Radio.
Yeah.
And even more fan service coming soon.
Yep.
Anyways, if you like this podcast, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do a lot of stuff that's not Evangelion, so maybe you don't want to see that stuff. In that case, don't subscribe to our YouTube channel. But we'd appreciate it if you did. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/thewetrats.
And at Patreon/thewetrats.
We don't have Patreon. If we had a Patreon, nobody would fund it, so we don't have Patreon.
Give us $1,000 and we'll do nothing but talk about Evangelion.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, give us some money less than that.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll talk about Evangelion. We'll literally do that recreation thing.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
The whole series.
We'll do like they do those funny fan dubs.
Yeah.
Those funny fan dubs, they're so funny. We'll do one of those, but we'll actually make it funny. Anyways, follow us on Twitter. We update stuff on there, and obviously we make a lot of other videos that aren't Evangelion. At this point, we don't do Evangelion stuff very much, but if you do want to stay up to date on when we do that stuff, Twitter is the best place to do that, because I do tweet out all the new videos we make. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments on YouTube. If you're listening on iTunes, feel free to email us, thewetrats@gmail.com. If you find us on Twitter, be sure to swipe right. You can even super like us on there.
Oh, they said Twitter first. It's like, oh, you can swipe on Twitter now?
Okay. What else are we going to pretend to be on? We really are on Twitter, but we're not on Tinder.
LinkedIn. Find us on LinkedIn. Kick us. I'll give you our kick.
Yeah, I'll give you our kick name. Kick the Wet Rats.
Yeah.
Kick the Rat is our new campaign. That's our Kickstarter campaign. Fun. Kick the Rat.
Kickstarter. We don't have a Patreon, but we have a Kickstarter.
We legitimately do have a website, thewetrats.com. I haven't updated it since the last year.
If you fund our Kickstarter, we'll make an action figure face-off where you can switch heads between.
Yo, shouts out if you're a big Evangelion fan. If you wanna fund our face-off figure idea, let us know.
Let us know.
If you really like Evangelion and also really like the 1996 movie Face Off, let us know. I mean, that came out at the same time. Is that the same year End of Evangelion came out?
Probably.
I think it is.
Hey, we're very niche.
You know what? They're pretty much the same movie.
Right. We're very. Let us know you're part of the really niche community where your 2 favorite things are Face Off and Evangelion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. People always have like Dark Side of the Rainbow, play Dark Side of the Moon while you watch Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Well, here's the new thing: watch Face Off and watch End of Evangelion at the same time.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it, but
here's what
let us know how it is.
You watch Face Off, but with the audio off, and you just have the audio. No, wait. You watch Evangelion. And then just have the audio track of Face Off playing.
No, I think you just have to have them both playing. Just both playing, both audio. Get it dual screen.
Sure.
Put a TV on top of another TV.
Yeah.
Put Face Off on the top. Actually, here. Get 3 TVs. Put Face Off on the top and bottom, and put End of Evangelion in the middle.
There you go.
And let us know how that turns out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a fan. And we're going to talk about 3 whenever it comes out, which hopefully is soon.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be soon, but it was supposed to be 2 years ago, so we'll see. And goodbye.
I could eat a peach for hours.